Every week we have a segment called The Why, where we try to answer your questions. And this morning, Evan Koslof looks into the history of go-go music, often called the soundtrack of D.C.
I told her don't believe the hype, 'cause I'm cool. Enough about the beat, let's talk about you.
No doubt that right there, that is a jam. Of course, that's Chuck Brown. And if you're new to the city, stop what you're doing. Go look at some videos of his old concerts. But here's a question I have even for the lifelong DC people. Do you know the whole story about Chuck Brown and go-go? Well, that's our question of the day. Why did go-go get so big here in DC? Well, first off, how about a definition? What is go-go music? Well, if you want to get really geeky, it's defined by three things. One, a lot of drums. Drums that don't stop between songs. Two, the call and response, meaning the band and the audience interact. And three, funky rhythms that interact with each other. Let's get to our next question. Where did the name go-go even come from? Well, that all started with this song back in 1969. It's called Going to a Go-Go by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. You see, go-go used to be the name of where people partied, not the type of music. And filling up the stages at these go-go's were mostly top 40. You know, rock, jazz, things you'd hear across the country. Then came disco, changing everything. More and more young people just wanted to dance, and so the music spread like crazy. And Chuck Brown knew they had to pick up the pace to keep the crowds coming.
Give me the beat down, give me the beat down.
That's when he created this new sound, what we now know as go-go. Soon enough, go-go bands started to pop up all over the city at places like Howard Theater, the Coliseum, and the Panorama Room. Bands like Young Senators, Rare Essence, Trouble Funk, Junkyard Band, Experience Unlimited. Meanwhile, we gotta talk about the young people. They weren't just in the crowd, they were picking up the instruments. And that's partially due to this guy. Of course, that's former Mayor Marion Barry. While mayor, he initiated a bunch of new programs that basically promoted music. There was a huge rise in marching bands. They also had something called showmobiles, which were basically traveling stages so that go-go could go to all parts of the city. And that was the point. Go-go was for everyone. In a city full of haves and have-nots, it was created by the have-nots. It gave them a voice. It really was the soundtrack of the city. So that's why go-go got so big in DC.
Give me the beat down.
I feel like I learned so much from these, don't you, Mary?
I know, and I love this package.
I know, we also learned too, this is what made you fall in love with DC, was go-go.
Fell in love with DC on go-go. My first time here was in 2008. I heard the go-go. I'm like, man, this place is happening. Because you think DC, you think suits, ties, you know, everybody's so buttoned up, but you hear that and you know, this city can get down. So I love it. We actually had a band in here last week and I walked into the Great Day Studio, took off my jacket and I started dancing. I was like, well,
you
whatever.
Go, girl. I love seeing you dancing here. All right.
I love it too.
If you have a question you want Evan to answer, you can send it to him. You can reach out to him on Twitter at @ekoslof, on Facebook, Koslof Reporting, or you can email him, ekoslof@wusa9.com. Well done, Evan. I like that story.